let's discuss what a stock option is. But, instead of using Wall Street as an example, let's use basketball. For this scenario, let's imagine that you are the proud owner of a professional basketball team. This team is based in Southern California and called the Los Angeles Bakers. You believe that in order to turn the Bakers into a championship team, you need to add another player to the team. A really tall player. You know, one that can reach things off of the top shelf. You are aware that there are 3 ways a team can find a player to add to their roster. 1. Trade with another team. If your team has something or someone that another team wants, and they have an asset you want, you could trade with each other for mutual benefit. 2. You could sign a free agent during the offseason if there is a player available that you feel is valuable and that player is willing to come to your team. 3. You can draft a new player through the league's annual draft if there is a player that meets your needs available. But, your general manager informs you that there is a problem. The Bakers don't have a draft pick this year. Also, the team doesn't have any good trade options right now. Worst of all, the team doesn't know if there will be any free agents that meet their needs in the offseason. Now, let's talk about a different team in the league. This team is based in Texas and called the Houston Sprockets. The Sprockets had a tough season. Injuries to their star players led to the team losing a lot of games. Fans stopped coming to games because of the terrible season. The team lost money on tickets and merchandise sales. The problem for the Sprockets. The Sprockets believe they have a great team when healthy and don't really think they need to add new players. However, the team lost money because of the losing season. Because of the losing season, the team will have a high draft pick, but they don't think they absolutely need it. So, here's the scenario. Your team thinks they might need a draft pick, but doesn't want to pay a lot of money for one if no players are available in the draft that fit the team's needs. The Sprockets have a draft pick they will sell, but they want a good amount of money for it, because it is scarce. They are also willing to sell their draft pick to whoever will pay the most money for it. You come up with an idea. You decide to offer a smaller amount of money to the Sprockets for the right to pay full price for the draft pick later. This saves money but also keeps other teams from buying the draft pick before you do, if you decide you need it. The Sprockets like the idea, because they get some money now, and if you decide not to buy the draft pick, they keep the money and the draft pick. So a deal is made. This creates a brand new thing that previously did not exist. An option. Of course, the option has an expiration date. It won't be any good if it is not used before the league draft. It has value and can be sold to other teams or included as part of a trade. Other teams may want to buy the option from you if they think there are players they want in the draft. The option could be bought and sold several times before it expires, even though none of the buyers or sellers made the original deal with the Sprockets. The Sprockets could even decide they don't want to have the option available to other teams anymore and buy it back themselves. Even though they still own the underlying draft pick the option was created on, they might decide they no longer want anyone else to be able to get it. If this happens, they could even end up paying more for the option than they originally sold it for, and end up losing money on the option. Here's the important part. 1. Even though the option has value and can be bought and sold, the option is only the right to buy the draft pick, not the actual draft pick. 2. Because the option will expire if it is not used, it has risk. You could pay money for the option and the option could expire worthless. There is no guarantee that the option will be valuable to you, and there is no guarantee that any other team will buy it from you. 3. Because of the expiration date, option prices suffer what is referred to as time decay. The closer to the expiration date an option becomes, the less value it likely has, especially if no teams see any value in buying it. Now let's translate this to the stock market. People who own a stock can offer options to buy their stock at a specific price, by a specific date. Just like with our draft pick example, the option is only the right to buy the stock, not the actual stock, and the risks are the same. Also, options can be bought and sold between investors even though they don't actually own the stock, just as our team owners could buy and sell the draft pick option without actually owning the draft pick. A lot of financial products are created this way. In the financial world, options can be created not just for the right to buy, but also for the right to sell stocks to someone at a specific price. Options can be created on more than just stocks, they can be created on real estate, business assets, contracts, and a lot more. But the underlying factor is always the same: the option is for a right to do something with an item, not the actual item itself, and involves more risk than owning the actual thing the option was created on, because the option will expire. It's also important to understand that owning an option is a way to control something more expensive by spending less money. In the stock market, a stock that is trading for $100 on the stock exchange could have options that sell for a few cents per share. Which means you could control hundreds of shares and possibly profit from those shares if the price rises without actually paying the amount of money it would take to buy the underlying stock. And that is how you took the Los Angeles Bakers, who had no draft picks and no trade assets, and created a scenario using an option where you had a chance to get the players you needed, yes, pretty much out of thin air. If you found this video helpful, please share it with others.